My 27M ex-girlfriend, 26F, wants to try again. My ex-girlfriend and I first got together 6 years ago, and from day one, we got on like two peas in a pod. Then after 2.5 years together, she fell pregnant. We had spoken about kids before and we both wanted a family, but not after just 2 years together. We spoke about it a lot, asked a few of our friends that already have kids and eventually decided to go for it. We also agreed that even if our relationship doesn't last, our child's well-being would always come first. Right before the lockdown in 2020, 3 weeks before the due date, we welcomed a perfect little girl and both of us were completely infatuated. It was a big adjustment, but our girl was an angel and we settled into parenthood rather quickly. Everything was going great at first, but 3 months later, it all changed. I was working late when I got a text from my mother to tell me my girlfriend dropped our daughter off with her while she ran some errands. But 4 hours later, she hadn't returned, and now she wasn't answering her phone. I called too, but she didn't answer me either. I got out of work, collected my daughter, and went home to find a note from my girlfriend. She said that she couldn't handle the stress of lockdown and the baby, and she just needed some time to clear her head. She also said not to call and that we would talk soon, but days turned to weeks with no contact from her or anyone else, other than her sister who visited her niece often, but never mentioned my girlfriend. Fast forward 3 years, and my ex-girlfriend is slowly starting to reach out again. It was slow at first, liking photos of our girl on Instagram, and the odd comment. But that was it until last week. She sent me a text saying that she had seen how well our daughter and I are doing and asking if we could meet up. I was reluctant, but we agreed before our daughter was born that her well-being is what mattered the most, so reluctantly. I agreed to meet for a coffee so she can see our girl, but I'm having second thoughts. How do I forgive her for walking out on me and, more importantly, on our daughter? Update as agreed. My ex and I met up a few days ago in a local cafe, and I got there early to try and work out what I was going to say to her after 3 years. While I hadn't mentioned it in my original post, I had no intention of bringing our daughter along. My ex had contact numbers of my family members, so she was with a coworker, and when my ex arrived, she was a little disappointed but not all that surprised to see I was alone. The next few minutes mainly consisted of small talk before we eventually addressed the enormous elephant in the room, where she had been hiding for 3 years of our daughter's life. She admitted that she'd had suffered a lot with postpartum depression, and she couldn't bear to show it in front of our girl. She acknowledged that leaving the way she did was wrong, but she wanted to be able to focus solely on herself while she got therapy. I asked why it took her 3 years to resurface. She sent a text for our daughter's first birthday, but that was it. And she broke down admitting that she was so scared of what I thought of her for disappearing. In a way, she was right to be scared, because while I could come to terms with being dumped, I was furious because she left our daughter. Throughout our conversation, I could tell she's grown a lot as a person over the last few years, which is something. We spoke for well over an hour, and when I finally got up to leave, she asked where we stood. I told her that I appreciate that she's been really trying to turn over a new leaf, but it's going to take time for me to fully move on. But as a show of good faith, I showed her a video of our girl. It's about 6-7 months old, but it's my favorite. It's her and one of my dad's cows mooing at each other. Just before I left, I got her phone number so we can maintain a bit of proper contact rather than through social media, and I agreed to send her a couple of photos of our girl. I appreciate all the advice I got last time, and I'm wondering where my ex and I go from here. My hope is that we can coexist and maintain a healthy friendship for our daughter's sake. But after what happened before, it's hard to fully trust my ex. What do you guys think? Where do I go from here? Side note, I didn't mention to my ex, but I have zero intentions of rekindling our relationship. I'm open to co-parenting, if she can prove she's not going to pull another disappearing act. But that's it. I really loved her once, but I'm a different person now, and that shit has well and truly sailed. Update: it's been a few weeks, so I thought I'd give another update regarding progress with my ex. First off, thanks to everyone for the advice and support. It's been such a huge help. So, down to business. Per my ex's request, I accompanied her to a session with her therapist, and she reassured me that she and my ex have made good progress, but she still has some issues to work through. Specify her relationship with her parents. She told me they separated and her mother had a temper, but I didn't know how bad it really was. After the session, my ex left and I hung on for a minute to ask her therapist for her opinion regarding reintroducing my daughter to my ex. She recommended holding off for now and offered me a free session to talk about it, so I'm going to see her next week. On a more positive note, my daughter started preschool 2 weeks ago, is already making friends, and has been absolutely loving life. And I sent my ex a few photos of our girl to show some support, so things are looking up. Thanks again to everyone that has commented so far. The support I got has been incredible. Makes the struggle of raising a child alone a little better. Update: I didn't intend to do another update until my ex and I had made good progress. But she made a confession yesterday and I don't know how to handle it. She called me yesterday morning, asking if we could meet up since she had something important to tell me. I was off and kiddo was at preschool, so I had half an hour to meet her. Soon after I got there, she asked me about our girl and I told her she was doing well. Moments later, she broke down and told me that she wanted to tell me why she decided to reach out so that there weren't any secrets between us. She admitted that she had been seeing a guy. I don't know his name, so we'll call him Luke, for about 18 months. I was initially pissed off at the thought of her dating while I was raising our girl alone, but she was in tears, so I held back. She admitted that Luke had taken her to his nephew's christening, and she had a total breakdown at the sight of the baby and the thought of our daughter. She apparently got really drunk and broke down in tears before admitting to Luke that she had a child, that she had basically abandoned. Apparently, she tried to distance herself from Luke after that, but he stuck with her, and his love and support inspired her to see a therapist and reach out to me. I would have run a mile if I was in his shoes, so he has my respect for helping her through that difficult time. I told her I was glad she told me and happy that she has someone that is so devoted before I left to collect kiddo. But now that it has fully sunk in, I can't wrap my head around it. How could she have gone off and dated someone else while I was left with our child? I've started to have second thoughts about her second chance, but since I'm not going to my therapist for another week, I thought I'd share it here to hopefully get some advice, because while I would like my daughter to know her mother, in some capacity anyway, I can't overlook the fact she was dating someone else while I was raising our daughter by myself.